Hello my dear students, how are you doing? So I hope the exam preparation is going well. So today in this video I'm going to do a detailed analysis of the poem Death Be Not Proud. But before I start the explanation, subscribe to my channel to get all the updates on videos related to English literature IAC syllabus class 12th. So watch the video till the end because I have also discussed the main theme of the poem and the type of questions that can be asked in your exam. So with almost 12 years of teaching in both ICSE and CBSE students and being an ICSE student myself, I know what type of questions are asked in the board exam because they don't check how much you know. They check your overall understanding of the subject and your hold over the language. Okay, and for that purpose, I'm here to guide you all. Now let's get started. But first thing first about the poet. And one thing more, if you want to know the quick summary and poetic devices used in the poem, head over to the shorts on my channel. All have been uploaded there. The line by line explanation of other poems like Telephone Conversation, Tithonus, Beethoven, Small Towns and the River have also been uploaded. Do check them out. But afterwards, the link I'll put in the description below. For notes, visit my website beautyoflanguage.in. Now, about the poet. So, John Donne was a famous metaphysical poet. Okay, metaphysical is basically, it is a philosophical concept that is used in literature to describe the things that are beyond a description of physical experience. That is why I said metaphysical, okay, beyond physical. So he was an English poet, scholar, soldier and secretary who later became a cleric in the Church of England. So he is considered as an outstanding representative of the metaphysical poets. About the poem, so basically the popularity of this poem lies in the subject, the unique subject itself, okay, as it was a devotional as well as warning to personified death. Holy Sonnet 10, it is also called by its first line, Death Be Not Proud. Its actual name is Holy Sonnet 10. Donne wrote it in the early 1600s. Okay, so in this poem he talks to death as if death were a person, personification, right? So this personification is even emphasized by the fact that the word death has always been mentioned with capital D throughout the poem. So in this Death Be Not Proud, so the poet uses clear logic to show that death is not as powerful as people think. He says death doesn't really kill anyone. Instead, when a person dies, their soul is set free and goes towards eternal life. And then there is a lot more things to do in this poem. We'll deal with that line by line. So the poem is a sonnet. That is a poem of 14 lines. Sonnet, you know, the poem 14 lines. So it is one of the Donne's holy sonnets, a group of religious poems where he thinks about big questions of life, death and God through his faith. Now moving on to the line by line analysis of the poem. So one more thing I'd like to tell you all, that I'll go very slowly through the poem and I have intentionally used some words, phrases which you don't use in daily conversation, but you can pay attention to these words and phrases, note them down, because including them in your answers will definitely going to give you a more weightage in the exam. And suppose if you don't get the meaning of any certain phrase or any particular word, and do let me know in the comment section. So let's get started. Death, be not proud, though some have called thee mighty and dreadful, for thou art not so. Okay, and it is written in Old English, that is why thee, thou and everything has been used here. The poet says that people usually think that death has great power and can do terrible things. Because the first thing that comes to our mind when we hear about death is what? It is fear. So in this poem, we talk about death as he, because Donne treats death like a person. So you must have seen the picture of a person, of a hooded figure with a sickle in his hand. Okay, so you can imagine that as death. So now when I said death being referred to a person, the first figure of speech that instantly strikes your mind is personification. But here one more figure of speech is used, and that figure of speech is apostrophe. See, when a poet speaks directly to someone or something that is not really there and cannot answer, it is called an apostrophe. Okay, see, he in the poem he is talking to death, but can death respond to him, or is death responding to him in the poem? No. So this is what apostrophe is, and this poem is one of the classic examples of apostrophe in literature. Okay, so the speaker, that is the poet, is not scared of death at all. He talks to death very boldly, like someone standing up to a school bully, right? So he tells death, don't be proud, and says that people are wrong to think of death as something very frightening and very powerful. So it can be asked in the exam that death be not proud, for thou art not so, when some of thy best the most of thee do go. Explain how the poet uses these lines to challenge death's supposed might. Moving ahead, for those whom thou thinkest thou dost overthrow, die not, poor death, nor yet canst thou kill me. So in these two lines, the poet says that death thinks he has the power to kill people, but according to him, he actually doesn't. Now here, John Donne has used the word overthrow. He has not used the word kill. He could have used that, but he has used the word overthrow. And when do we use the word overthrow? So we usually use this word when a king or a ruler is removed from power. So this makes death look like someone trying to act like a big ruler. So you'll notice here that there is also a small pause between overthrow and die in the next line. Okay, so it feels like the poet lets death enjoy the thought that he can kill people, and then suddenly he says, actually, you know what, you can't, and takes that power away. So then in the fourth line, the poet calls poor death. It is as if death has big dreams, but those dreams have been crushed, and now we feel a little bit of sorry for him, ki hai bechara, which is almost insulting to death. Poet humiliates him for having lived under this illusion, ये जो गलत फहमी है, the misunderstanding, the little bubble it was living in, that he has power over life. But see, the thing is that saying that death doesn't kill people, it sounds strange, right? That's what death is supposed to do. It is supposed to kill people. How can John Donne say this? So he actually uses a Christian belief to explain it. See, according to this belief, when a good Christian dies, their life on earth ends, but their soul goes to eternal life. So death is not the final end. It is actually a gateway. Okay, it's a passage to a never-ending life, and in that sense, people are never truly killed forever. Therefore, death is not as powerful as it thinks. So he kind of taunts him, saying that though you can take my physical body, but you can never truly kill me. I hope you understood that, right? Moving on to the next line. From rest and sleep which but thy pictures be, much pleasure then from thee much more must flow. So these two lines here are a bit tricky, so we need to read them slowly and think carefully. Okay. See, the poet here compares death to rest and sleep. And rest and sleep, what do they usually do? When we rest and we sleep, what does it make us feel? It make us feel good. It make us feel relaxed. So he says, in the same way, death should also give us pleasure when it comes. So he also says that rest and sleep are like pictures of death. Listen very carefully, okay? Try to understand it very carefully. Think of it like this. A drawing or photo of something is not the real thing, right? It's just a copy. So rest and sleep are the pictures and death is the real thing. So basically, rest and sleep are just small weaker versions of death. It's like जब ये weaker version हमें इतनी अच्छी लगती है तो real चीज जो है यानी कि जो death है वो और हमें कितना ही pleasure देगी, कितनी ही खुशी देगी. So even these small versions feel good, then the real thing, that is death, will give us much more pleasure. So the comparison that is made between rest and sleep and death is an example of which figure of speech here? Yes, it is metaphor, where comparison is made without using like or as. Okay, so this comparison of death to sleep or rest is actually very common in Christian writing. Okay, many Christian thinkers like Saint Augustine say that real rest will happen only when a person rests with God in heaven. This is actually a way to reduce the fear of death. Okay, so if you compare death to something people already enjoy, like good sleep, it feels less scary, right? So it's almost like convincing a friend to give a stage performance by saying that अरे भाई तो कर लेगा, जैसे तू हर रोज दोस्तों को फनी स्टोरीज बताता है, बस वही तो करना है, बस थोड़ी ज्यादा लोगों के सामने. Simple. The poet is trying to do exactly that here. Now, in the context of sleep, you can be asked like, discuss the significance of the comparison between death and sleep in the poem, highlighting how it contributes to the overall message. Moving on to the next lines. And soonest our best men with thee do go, rest of their bones and souls delivery. So in the 7th line, he says that the best men, okay, so the best men are the good, brave people in the society. So Donne says that these people are the ones who meet death earlier than others. They go to death willingly because they believe he will give rest. Who will give? Death. Death will give rest to their bodies and set their Christian souls free from the sufferings of this world. So if you'll notice here, then in the 8th line, the poet has used the word delivery to describe this. Okay, now delivery here can also mean to give birth. Okay, which completely actually it fits the whole idea of starting a new life in eternity after death. These best men, okay, which are being talked about here, they can be the soldiers, they can be the martyrs who are ready to risk their lives for a noble cause or for their faith. So the poet almost makes it sound as if they are happy to go to death because they know they will get eternal rest sooner than others. But if you think carefully, this is actually a bit tricky because in real life, most soldiers are actually not excited to die, right? They are willing to face danger but not wish for real death. They accept the risk of death to protect others or to achieve something important. Death is obviously, it is the, it's kind of the final destination for them, but they don't prefer death willingly or prefer death at first place, right? Poem represent death in such a positive way that it almost tempts you to think that being one of the best men and facing death doesn't sound so bad after all. Moving on to the next line. Thou art slave to fate, chance, kings and desperate men, and dost with poison, war and sickness dwell. So in a Petrarchan sonnet like this one, okay, what is a Petrarchan sonnet? It's a sonnet where there is a complete change in the direction of the poem, the mood of the poem, that is at line 9. Okay, so in this poem also, death be not proud, the change, even though it's not big, but from line number 9, the tone of the speaker, it becomes sharper and more angry. He starts insulting death, calling him a slave. By calling death a slave, the poet is saying that death has no freedom of his own. He does not decide anything himself. Instead, he is controlled by other things. That is why he is calling him a slave. Now, what are those things that he is controlled by? It is fate, chance, kings and desperate men. Okay. Now, talking about fate, then it is often shown in literature as a person who controls what happens in everyone's life, including when they will die. वो कहते हैं ना, जो किस्मत में लिखा होगा वही होगा. So just like that. And death only follows the orders of fate. So when someone dies suddenly, then we say, no, maybe उसकी इतनी ही जिंदगी लिखी होगी. So that is what fate is. Then it is chance. It is actually the opposite idea of fate. It means pure luck. So when things happen for no clear reason, like a sudden accident. So I don't know if you have heard this story or not, that there was a man who was said that he will meet an unexpected death. So he was so afraid of it that he tried every possible thing to save himself from it. Okay, he made possible that he didn't catch cold. Okay, he followed every precautionary measure, but at the end he died from the wall clock falling over his head in his own bedroom, on his own bed. So that is what chance is. That is what luck is. Then the poet says that there are kings. So kings, they are real. He's talking about the real rulers who can send soldiers to war or order someone to be killed. And the desperate men. So the people who take their own lives or behave so carelessly that they almost choose death themselves. Now, if you decide to take your own, not you, okay. Now, if someone decides to take his life, his own life himself, it kind of takes away death's only card he has to play. What is the job of death? To take someone's life. But desperate men, what do? They take their life themselves. So what is happening here? Here also death is not being allowed to do the only thing he does. So death is not the boss. He is just used by all these forces. Then in line 10, the speaker accuses death of dwelling, that is living with poison, war and sickness. So it is as if these are the friends or companions of death. So all three have one thing in common. And what is that? That they kill many people and they usually cause painful and miserable death. So John Donne, the poet, also treats poison, war and sickness like people. He has personified them also. So again, this is personification to show that death moves in bad company and is not at all noble and is not at all powerful. In this context, you can be asked question like, how does the poet portray death as slave to fate, chance, kings and desperate men, and what does this reveal about its true nature? Now moving on to the next line. And poppy or charms can make us sleep as well, and better than thy stroke, why swellst thou then? If we look back to line 5 and 6, what does the poet says? That death is like sleep, okay, but only better. But now he changes his tone, and what is he saying now? That why do we even need death? He says that if someone wants deep sleep and rest, then they can simply use drugs, they can simply use magic charms. This actually doesn't match with what he earlier pointed, okay, that death is better than sleep. But the speaker is not worried about perfect logic here. His main aim is to insult death and show all of his cleverness, like someone arguing quickly and sharply in a debate, but is not making any specific point. Okay, so same thing is happening here. Now the poppy which is being talked about here is, as you know and must have heard, that it is a flower that is used to make opium, an old drug that makes people feel very relaxed. They kind of feel sleepy. Okay, so the speaker says that drugs and magic charms, it work better than death at making people sleep. Now here you can be like, and how does this poet know about this, that opium gives good sleep? So in this context, you can be asked questions like, what is the significance of the phrase pictures of our slumber in relation to death? Okay, so here you can notice that the poet has used the word stroke, okay, in line 12. So it can have many meanings. It can mean gently stroking someone, like a parent stroking a child's head to help them sleep, or it can mean the stroke of a sword, which suggests violence and killing. Then it can also mean the stroke of a clock, the exact moment when something happens, like the moment of death. So by saying all this, the speaker actually completely cuts down death's important. Okay, he tells that death not to swell with pride. Okay, ज़्यादा उड़ने का नहीं. So this question that he asks at the end of the passage, it sums up whole argument so far. Death is not powerful, death is not special, and not worth being proud. One short sleep past, we wake eternally, and death shall be no more. Death, thou shalt die. So finally we reach the end of the poem. So John Donne and the metaphysical poets in general are the masters of surprise ending. Okay, so the poem ends with a surprising twist. At the end, he goes back to the idea that death is like sleep, but now he adds an important detail that it is only a short sleep. So according to traditional Christian belief, when people die, it is as if they are sleeping until the judgment day, the doomsday, the end of the world. And on that day, Jesus will wake everyone up and good Christians will go to heaven forever. After that, there is no more death at all. So when the world ends and eternal life begins, death itself will disappear, and that is why the poem ends with this powerful line, death, thou shalt die. Now it means that in the end, death, you will be destroyed, not human souls. So here you can be asked like, and death shall be no more, death, thou shalt die. Explain the meaning and significance of this concluding paradox. So that was a line-by-line explanation of the poem. Now, talking about the theme of the poem. So the theme of the poem is basically the powerlessness of death. Okay. So John Donne, he wants to tell us that death should not feel proud or important. Why? Because human beings don't really end when they die. After just one short sleep, that is death, they live forever in eternal life. So some people think death is very strong and powerful, but Boyd says death is actually like a low-level servant. That is why he calls him a slave. It cannot act on its own. It has to depend on things like luck, accidents, government, orders, murder, disease, war to make people sleep. That is to die. Okay. He also says that even a poppy plant that is used to make a drug that makes you sleepy, or charms and spells can make people sleep. Okay, and they do this more gently and better than death does. Okay, now in the end, when a person's soul leaves the body and goes into eternity, the soul goes on living, but death will not last forever. So in a way, it is death itself that will be defeated or die, not human beings. Okay, so I hope that was easy to understand. So that was all about the poem Death Be Not Proud. If you like the video, then hit the like button, comment, share as much as you can, and subscribe to my channel if you haven't done it yet. I'll see you in my next video. Till then, bye bye, take care.